Hello, everybody. Gary and Mike here again with Pivotal Advisors in our Real Talk Sales Leadership series, trying to give you practical advice during this turbulent time that we're going through. And today we're going to talk about something that's near and dear to everybody is kind of the uncertainty around pay on your team. So a lot of you have already made some moves. Maybe you have cut salary, maybe you've reduced commission, you've deferred things. Um, there's a lot of move, and if you haven't, you might be looking at doing some of that stuff soon, which is not exactly a motivator for your team. And they are probably stressed out. They've got financial obligations at home as well. And it creates an environment where it makes it hard for your salespeople to be productive. So we're going to talk a little bit about what do you do as a good sales leader, Mike? And I just threw a whole bunch of stuff at you. So what do you do? Your team's not making as much money. They're probably not selling as much. Maybe they've deferred. Maybe they've taken the salary cut, and you're jazzed to be to work every day. So what do you do about that? And what kind of conversations do you have as a good sales leader?
It's a really good question, and you're probably dealing with it as the sales leader, right? You got your own things going on, and now you have to be the rock for your team and your family and all the other things that are going on. It's a lot of pressure, and so one of the things that we've been exploring is how do you create some level of predictability or certainty in a pretty uncertain situation, right? So how do we do that? And what the psychologists tell us again is if we have some level of planning, our stress level comes down. And if our stress level comes down, then we're thinking rationally again. So, how do we really help people through it? So, Gary, the first thing I think that's important is that you have this conversation,
Yes.
right? In the world of business and cash and customers and all that, this is a great time to stop and say, how are you managing this salesperson, right? So Mary, Todd, Bill, whatever their names are. How do you actually sit down and say, hey, let's talk a little bit about how you're managing through this whole thing, how you're taking care of yourself, and how you can help your team the most, right? And one of the things that seems to be very helpful is a process that you can help people through to say, what are the various scenarios that could happen? So if I'm completely ambiguous and I'm sitting there going, I don't know what's going to happen, I'm kind of in a panic, that's very stifling, right? You're going to freeze. You're not going to know what to do, and the stress level is going to rise. If you said, hey, there's probably 5 or 6 different situations that could happen, what would I do in each situation?
Yeah.
Then I have some control over it. I have some level of plan. I still don't know what's going to happen, but I know what we could possibly do about it, right? I have a contingency plan. So I think helping your team think through this, both at work and at home, first kind of questions are, how long is this going to go, right? And maybe Gary just helping a little bit with what are some of those scenarios. So if we said we're going to go back, things will start to resume some level of normalcy sometime in June. Let's just use that as an example. What might that mean for people, or what questions could they ask their sales team to help them think through that one scenario?
Well, I think a lot of sales leaders like to go to the business part of things immediately. They like to go through, okay, what is your plan? Who are you going to call? What is your sales going to look like? What can we do differently? And you need to do those things. But I think where you were going, Mike, is the personal situation.
Right.
If you're being a good leader and you care about your team and you want them to succeed, some of the questions you might just ask them is, hey, if this goes on for 3 months, what does this mean to you and your family personally? How are you sitting for those for that type of delay? What if it goes on longer? Here's some ideas on what I've heard other people do. Here's some of the things I'm doing. I care about what's going on with you and I want to help you as best I can. But how are you managing in this situation? What's the stress level like? What's going on with your spouse or your kids or whatnot? But this is a time to be a real leader beyond just the sales numbers, beyond just the deal of the day. If you can get deeper with them, and I like to say, Mike, too, that transparency is awesome here. They can't plan their lives unless they know what's going on. So I like to show them, here's what our forecasts are looking like. Here's what our numbers are. So if we played this out in your particular account base or territory, this is what it might mean to you financially. I want to give you all the things I can so you can plan accordingly. You might not be able to give them more money. We're all strapped for that. You might not be able to give them more accounts. Probably not. But give them the information so they can plan their lives and be a resource for them as a good leader.
It's probably one of the kindest things you can do is to help them do, walk through their own situation. Because again, I'm going to use examples here, but if you said, hey, we think this is going to go on to August and September, what would that mean? They probably could come up with a plan for how they might do that.
Right.
There's forgiveness now in tapping into retirement plans. There's forgiveness now on certain rent and mortgage. There's tax credits coming. There's all kinds of things going on, but I may or may not need them. If you told me we're going back to work tomorrow, I don't need any of that stuff.
Right.
If it's going to be a while, I do. So that might be one scenario. What if we had to delay your commissions until we collect? That's a common thing I'm hearing people say now is we're going to pay commissions a little later. What might that mean? What would you do in that situation? There's ones where, hey, maybe we haven't cut salary or we cut it 10% now. What if we had to go to 20%? We want to keep everybody employed, but we got to keep the business alive. What if that happened? What if you were completely furloughed? What if we had to go that far? I don't see that happening, but if you did, and again, if they can kind of say, well, in that situation, I do this, or in that situation, I do that, and you help them think that through, that stress level is going to come way down, and you have now really helped the person, not the employee, right?
Yeah.
The person with their life, and you've helped them work with their family on the kinds of moves that they're going to make. The other thing you're probably doing is you're building resiliency skills. When things happen, we don't panic, we plan, right? And we start to think through different scenarios, and we actually come up with actions we could take. And then the last thing, Gary, I'll spin it back to you, is I think it's good to say, what leading indicators are you looking at?
Sure.
You can share with your employees, right? What are you watching? Are you watching, number of new cases? Are you listening to what the governor is saying? Are you listening to healthcare people? Like, what information is the business looking at so that your employees can be watching the same information so they can understand the likelihood? And the more notice you give them, the more opportunity you have.
If we help a lot of companies hire salespeople, and one of the questions that we like to ask them all the time is, tell me about a sales leader that you really liked working for. Who was the best person you ever worked for? And then we ask them why. And the question or the responses typically are not around, they helped me close a deal. They were really good at forecasting. They were really good at numbers. They taught me something. They cared about me. I felt like I could talk to them. This is your opportunity as a leader to step up and shine.
Absolutely.
This is your opportunity to get closer than ever to your people and take an interest in their personal lives. And there's only so much you can do, but if you can help them plan, if you can help them bring a little clarity to their situation, you're being a good leader. It might not even have to do with sales, but you're being a good leader, and that's part of the job.
And right now, it's a big part, right? A big part of our job is doing the leadership work, not just the management work, right? Really helping people get through this. So let me summarize real quickly again. I think reach out and have the conversation. Ask them what they're looking at or what they've been thinking. Help them plan scenarios from best case to worst case. What are likely things? And then let them work as a family on what they might do in those situations so that they can have some clarity. And then finally, let them know what information you're watching or leading indicators you're taking cues from a business perspective so they can start to figure out which of these scenarios might actually go down. But what you're going to do is you're going to create some level of certainty or confidence that I still don't know what to do or what's going to happen, but if it happens, I already have a plan in place, and that's going to let me feel a little bit better about the situation.
All right. Again, thanks for watching. This is our Real Talk series on sales leadership. We're going to continue to generate these and put them out there for you. I want this to be a valuable resource for all you people. Thank you for watching. If you have questions, if you want to talk things through, if you need additional resources, please go to www.pivotadvisors.com, and we're happy to help you out. This is what we do. So stay safe out there. and hope to see you again soon.
Don't touch your face.